This is Maximum Intelligence Part 2, Part 4. I know that every listener is extremely excited. They've been trying to just busy themselves for the last week until the next episode of Maximum Intelligence could come out and just feel the dopamine and self-improvement from just, intelligent people, talking to them. Long-form conversation, one of the best things. We're living in the phenomenon where the spoken word can travel as far as the written word, Daniel. Living in the phenomenon doesn't make sense, but it's a crazy new thing. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
Just before we started recording, you were going to try to think of questions. You were like, hang on a sec, let me try to think of some question. And it made me realize that the last few, if not all three of them, have been where you just fired off right away with a question. Yep. So the reason I wanted to say, no, I'm just going to start, trust me, was because something I've been forgetting to say is after our very first episode, it was within the next couple hours after our first one, I thought of something that was I want to talk to Daniel about that on the podcast. And so I started a Google Keep notes thing. It's just a notes app, but since it's Google Keep, you can pull it up on your computer or phone or whatever. And I pulled it up and then wrote it down. And so between every episode for whole weeks, I've been writing down things that I'm that would be interesting to talk to Daniel about on this thing. And so some of them have naturally come up in conversation, like the personality test or the self-authoring thing. And then when I talked about the AI making laws, that was because I was looking at this thing. But there's been a few that didn't come up in conversation, so I was going to bring those up. And
I'm ready.
And see.
Also, just to introduce ourselves, my name is Daniel, and this is my co-host,
Eli Brown.
Yep.
So my bad. Forgot to introduce us, but
that is
Eli
totally
and Daniel.
okay. Yep. The two most intelligent people on the face of the earth.
Yep. There's no one else. I'd say, do you think there's anyone that comes close? Close is a relative term, but...
Dude, my kindergarten teacher, she was up there for sure.
Oh, really? She was that high?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
She was just being a kindergarten teacher just for...
She was vibing. Yeah. Probably an everyday millionaire.
Probably an everyday millionaire.
Who knows?
There's a lot of those, turns out. A lot more than you think.
Also, I wanted to say this really quick. So you know how we said we're the two most intelligent people on the face of the earth? What if there's lizard people or people living underground? Does that count? What if there's a whole civilization of people underground that are just insanely intelligent?
I'd say the odds are as intelligent as us seem low, just because we have the advantage of being able to explore space and the oceans and all of these other things. But maybe there's some weird stuff going on in there that we don't get to,
It's true.
Don't get to explore. Maybe the oceans is space for them. They don't know if there's anything beyond it.
They've never gotten to the surface of the ocean.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's just a firmament of water above them. All right.
What's the question?
This one, not even a question. I just thought it'd be interesting to bring up. I watched a 20-minute science video the other day about octopi, and how octopuses are they're the life form on Earth that we think if anything on Earth was an alien life form from a different planet, it would be octopus, only because of how drastically weird and different they're structured from an evolutionary perspective, right? They've got their brain neurons are spread throughout their entire body, so they have brain neurons in their tentacles, meaning that they can be thinking about something and doing something, and their tentacle can be thinking on its own and do something different, and then store the information, and then later tell the octopus, hey, this is the thing that was over there.
It's crazy.
That's really weird. The other thing is that they can change color in 1/5 of a second, which is faster than most people blink, which is weird. And then they can...
Cow.
Yep. They started doing intelligence tests with them in the last few years. Yeah, they're really low in neuroticism.
Yeah, they took the full Big Five.
Yeah, they took the Big Five. Some of them are actually.
I was trying to think of a joke that I was they did the Big Eight. I was bro.
Dude,
it's not a funny joke in any way.
It's funny that you brought it up. They were trying to do intelligence tests with them, and they found that they play, they'll do stuff for fun, and that they can also plan, at least the most simple form of planning for the future, where they will get a shell or something they can live inside of and carry it with them over vast distances to then sleep in later and then pick it up and carry it again. And so there's little things like that they're oh, these are more intelligent than we thought originally. And then the biggest weird thing about them is that, right, the mainstream scientific like opinion on how intelligence manifests was through having to live in groups, like primates having to live in groups and start like, figuring stuff out together and planning together is how intelligence kind of had a need to be formed. But this is the first piece of evidence that says otherwise, where that's only one of the ways intelligence forms, that this is a totally like independent type of creature that doesn't live in groups, and it's way more intelligent than we've always thought for a long time. And
how did they figure something like that out? So
there was like marine biologists.
Okay, so you said that they're doing intelligence tests, but what did those like consist of?
Like, so obviously it started with just like observing them for a long time, and then they started seeing things like their like planning, like carrying the shell or different things like that, and they're like, oh, that's a little bit more complex than we kind of thought an octopus was, right? And so then they put them in these like enclosed environments where they were going to, I don't know specifically how, they didn't explain it very well, but it's something to do with like giving them a stimulus in a certain way over and over again and see if they interact the same way with it, like if every octopus does, or if it's just random, or if they just touch it to see what it is and carry on, or see if it's food or whatever. And then there was like weird little things that would happen where like the octopus would move a floaty toy in front of a little jet stream of water and see it shoot away, and then do it over and over again and watch it shoot away, and like things like that. That was like, is it having fun? Is it playing with it? Or is it learning? It's like, what the heck? And there was just weird little things like that they're like, well, it's so weird. It's pretty intelligent, but we don't really know. And then I don't know how they figure out the thing about its tentacles being able to think independently from its the rest of it. And then their brain is spread out through their whole body, meaning if there's a gap as big as their beak, they can fit their entire body through the gap, because the whole rest of their body is malleable and has no bones, so they can just
crazy, dude.
It's so weird, dude.
That's pretty alpha. That is kind of insanely alpha if you think about it.
Fitting through little holes.
Yeah just like I wish I could do that.
Like there's videos of like a big fat octopus that fell onto like a ship, and they're like, yo, and it's like this big red blob thing, and then its tentacle hits a little hole that's literally like as big as a credit card probably, and suddenly the whole thing just goes through the hole. You're like, what? It doesn't make any sense.
That's amazing.
It was freaking dope. Anyway,
that's so funny.
I'm sure if you Googled octopus intelligence or something like that, you'd find the video. It was like a 20-minute video, but it was very entertaining. So
I should definitely look into that more. That sounds amazing. Do you think that it's like, I don't know if I ever like have believed in evolution in the point of an animal going from like that level of intelligence to human type of intelligence of like the sentience, but what if we started finding like octopi? Is that actually the correct term?
I googled how you pronounce it, because lately I've been trying to be way more careful with my speech, and I'm pretty sure it said octopi, or octopuses is correct, and octopi is a commonly misused term, but I'm gonna Google it again really quick.
So octopuses. But while you're typing that, imagine like this civilization, like if we found this underwater civilization where they're just all vibing, dude. They were trading for stuff, they were like bartering and everything, and they just had like maybe even like an army down there. Could you imagine seeing this like army of like octopuses that are walking on the seafloor stabbing things? They go after like a shark.
Are they
scary.
Like caveman level intelligence, you're saying?
Yeah, something like that maybe. Yeah,
dude, that would I don't know, I'm trying to think, like that would affect the whole world in such an insane way. But do you think they would cover it up? Whoever found it would cover it up? Because it'd probably be some marine biologist. It wouldn't be, some elite world order group. So,
I mean, if an elite world order group did, like, if you're talking about like at a conspiracy level, they probably would find out. Like if they're just in control of everything, But,
yeah, I guess so. Maybe it depends on how in control they are. But I feel like it would change. It would be scary in a way, but mostly I think it'd be like beautiful and cool.
Yeah,
mostly, right?
I agree.
But I think a lot of people,
these laws being made of like, oh, they have this level, like, because we have human rights. Like there are agreed upon human rights, and then whenever the country is not following like those human rights and giving their citizens that, like that's very easy. Like we can call someone out. Like you're not following human rights.
Yep.
but we'd have to come up with another category, and it would be so interesting to see what happens for an actual other species like as intelligent or getting close to as intelligent, like after it passes a certain threshold, because like pigs are super intelligent, but we still
Pigs.
send them to like slaughterhouses and keep them in farms and stuff like that. And I know like there's a lot, obviously a huge movement of people that think that's wrong, but it would be interesting to see how that affects culture at like that level of intelligence. Because one of the things that I was also thinking with that, it would make them so successful that they can grab onto stuff really easily. They can wrap their tentacles around it, because that was a huge thing that separates us from like, let's say like a lion. Like monkeys can use tools, but we have the
Opposable
thumbs.
Dude, I'm glad we don't have disposable thumbs, dude.
Disposable thumbs. No, we're like the lizards. They just fall off.
Yeah, grow back. Someone grabs your thumb and you're like, psych.
It's like, I got your nose. Like, bruh, you got my thumb, dude. But dude, if they could start using tools, think about how insane that would be. Like, there literally could be stuff like, dude, imagine this beach of people just like on their surfboards or whatever, and you start seeing this octopus like grab onto the leg and he starts like stabbing. Dude, that'd be the scariest thing ever, bro.
Dude. But thinking about it from like they would be at such a big disadvantage on land because of how their body's formed, right? There's no structure to hold it up at all. It's just a blob. Mm-hmm. But obviously, we would have more of a disadvantage underwater than on land. But because of our technology, it'd be fine.
We'd still have really good. But dude,
imagine a video leaking on the internet. Imagine seeing a video leaked on the internet where they've got like glowing eels trapped in certain spots so that they can see in a certain area, and then you got octopus like walking, like not walking but going around like grabbing like sharp rocks and stuff with its thing, and like getting in a group around like a shark and then all attacking it at once, and you'd be like, yo, this is insane, dude.
Dude, this needs to be like a cartoon or like a comic book, like a whole civilization of octopuses that are just doing like really crazy stuff. Like they're having like a sacrificial circle. Like, dude, what if they have like their own religion and everything like that? Like they're just like, you see these temples, like you see them go into this dark space, and then like it zooms in inside of it, and it's just all like these like octopuses that are like waving their hands and like
like doing spinning rituals,
like rows of octopuses just like worshiping something. You're like, bruh, it's crazy.
It's so whack.
I like how we're just coming up with like a conspiracy,
getting more and more retarded.
Like,
dude, people that are really good at like, I don't know what program that would be, like animation, I guess, making a fake video where it looks like an actual marine biologist going underwater. I feel like that would like go viral, because if you posted it right to where it looked like it could be real, like only on some websites, or maybe in a way where like you see an octopus like dart with a spear or something, and then the camera like, you know, they gotta get out of here and move or something, they leave, it'd be like, yo, that'd be a scary video.
Yep. Dude,
dude, you could have imagine the warfare, it's like blended in. You can't see an octopus there, so they
it like slowly comes unblended and starts attacking. Like, yeah, dude, that would be so scary. But the idea also that, like, let's say they were really, really smart at like this guerrilla warfare tactics, that they could like attack and then blend in and just like disappear. That would make them some of like the scariest creatures to me. Dude. Like insanely scary, dude. That's got to be like the creepiest thing ever if that like existed. Oh, I can't imagine.
Really scary. And then the amount of like, so much of them is so different than everything else. Like there was something weird with their eyesight. I can't remember. I'm not going to be able to say it correctly, but they could like somewhat see through their tentacles, or had some other form of like sense that we don't have, like super accurate UV? Heat sensing, or I don't know, maybe it was light. Maybe that was, it could tell how much light there was in areas with its tentacles, or something weird. It's just like, the type of warfare there would be just way too weird, you know?
Yep.
But
yeah, and even if they didn't even have like a civilization or like central cities, but they could just like spread out through the ocean and have like a common goal of killing humans. Because like, imagine, it's like we can't really nuke down there. Like that would probably be against so many laws.
Yep, right? It would destroy the oceans too. Like
it would like destroy the ocean. And so if all that we have are these like underwater missiles, then you're not killing like the whole cities. Like if it's all like individuals or maybe like small groups that are just going after like weird small targets.
Dude,
like,
I know. Even if you only had like 1 million octopus that were all planning this, which is way less than the total number of octopus, it would be, and their just goal was just, we're taking these guys
killing
out.
humans.
There'd be so many areas that were like, octopus free zone. Like we have nets up way out in the water. We know there's no octopus here, so you can swim in this area. And then octopus would figure out a way to get around.
Dude, that's such a good dystopia that it's literally like humans versus octopuses. Like, dude, even to the point of them sneaking into ships, because you know if they could sneak through like a really small hole, so you know how like a lot of like really big ships have like holes on the bottom where they like intentionally keep water.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like
could you imagine if they like sneak in through that and then maybe they dock in like a loading area on the shore and then they sneak onto the ship, like because they could probably last on land for like a small amount of time.
They're like, they can move on land, but it's just kind of difficult,
like slower and
yeah,
dude. And I'm thinking of all these action scenes of it's like on a pipe hanging and it's like blended in and the human walks by and then it unblends. And
plus they can ink too. They could spray ink in your face.
That's
you're like,
great. Yeah, it's a great point, dude.
Dude, if anyone hears this that's gonna make a movie, we patent the right. We patent it.
Yep.
This came out January 22nd,
This
2021.
is our idea. Yeah.
He's so funny.
Well, that's interesting. What a rabbit hole that we went down thinking about the potential of octopuses. It's intense.
Tell me what you think about this. So, supposedly, what a hierarchy is, like just like the word hierarchy, having a ranking system, I guess, of anything. You could have a hierarchy of values or hierarchy of anything. But as soon as you get a group to have a specific goal, any goal, it automatically unintentionally creates a hierarchy. Even if you and I had a goal, it creates a hierarchy because you could do, okay, Daniel and I want to record this podcast, or let's say we want to skateboard. A hierarchy would then be either, if our goal is how good we want to skateboard the best, then whichever one of us is better at skateboarding, it would put us on top of the hierarchy and the other person at the bottom. Or if we wanted to, whatever, that's the point. And so the how would I say this? We know that almost any intelligent, no, it's not even intelligent, tons of different life forms, almost every type of animal has hierarchies. Like, obviously intelligent ones like chimpanzees have a whole thing where they have chimpanzees like almost do perimeter things where if any other chimpanzees come close to their gang, then they beat them up. And then, if certain chimps can chase away other chimps from a female, then they get a mate with the female and not the other chimp. But then even things, this is why I brought up hierarchies, is because lobsters' hierarchies is really weird to me because they seem like such unintelligent, dumb animals, like such a basic structure for just a crustacean. But their hierarchies...
You said lobsters?
Lobsters, yeah. And the way a lobster hierarchy is set up is so complicated and weird that it's just interesting thinking about just this dumb thing has this whole hierarchical system where it knows which lobster is above it or below it on the hierarchy, and it'll fight them very intentionally, like which lobsters fight which other lobsters is super intentional to try to move up the hierarchy. And then the females will only mate with ones that are at the top of the hierarchy, and it's like this giant weird game thing that's like, yo, lobsters,
that's crazy,
really? It's
that's so
crazy.
Weird, dude.
I know. I never realized how many different types of animals had hierarchies. There's like obviously bees and ants are an easy one to tell, but like I don't know, for some reason lobsters sound just such a stupid creature.
So
and then
dumb.
The way that it's so complicated.
It's kind of impressive that even ants can do it. Like, I don't consider like an ant to be an intelligent creature, but they clearly do, and they have objectives. Dude, like the fact that they can be so far away from their home and still focusing on a task is impressive.
Dude, I know. Like, I've always wondered if
impressive.
Ants, because you know how having a hive mind is more of a sci-fi idea. Like to have multiple bodies that somehow have the same consciousness is completely non-existent. We've never found it in reality, but it's a good idea as far as like
I guess
we
have found some type of stuff that like is similar to it.
But you can go on. Like let's say it was I don't think we have, because it would have to be like, let's say it was a fungus or something to
I think
interact.
It was a fungus.
Yeah, but to interact with a piece of it that's that far away and then have the collective know what happened or react as if it knows what happened without a signal being sent between them
Right.
is just, I don't think that's real. But I was going to say bees and ants seem like the biggest piece of evidence of hive minds, doesn't it? Because like an ant can find food somewhere, and if you don't clean up that food, suddenly all the other ants know that there's food right there, and 100 other ants will show up to get the food.
I mean, I think a lot of that also has to do with like certain chemicals that they can release, because like pheromones is, I think, a really big deal in the animal kingdom.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't pheromones like the right word for that? Like
I think so.
I've heard that if you like step on a wasp, it can like put out like this chemical, and other wasps can come like sting you.
Yeah, they
Like
know
I have
that
no idea if that is like a real thing. I've never looked it up, but the idea of that seems somewhat believable to me.
I've heard of that too.
So,
I've heard that too, so I think it's true, but it's just weird, dude.
mhm.
I don't know, hierarchies
Crazy.
and hive minds and all of that. Weird, dude.
Yep.
Crazy.
Because I want to look into the hive mind, but I feel like I have heard some examples of, I think, fungi that have these like insane organisms that are all acting in unison and change what they like their biological characteristics for to live for years and years and years. It's something that I've actually wanted to like start studying.
Which creature?
Like any fungus.
Oh,
like mushrooms and stuff like that, like these huge organisms that like literally have been like shown and proven to communicate.
That's super weird,
It's
dude.
really weird, dude.
Yeah, the fungus is a really weird study. There was what was it, dude? There was this guy that was on the Joe Rogan podcast that was a fungal professional. I don't know what he's called. Fungologist, yeah. And he was dude, I wish I could remember. Now I'm going to hype you up for this and not even know what it was. It was something like a fungus grew in a way where some of it found some source of food or something, some source of like nourishment. And then the way the rest of the fungus grew was almost like it was a creature trying to go over and eat the food. It was almost like the rest of it knew, oh, there's food right there. And it was like an intelligent behavior. And that there's been a lot of funguses. It's weird to me that it's not categorized under plant, because you would almost think, fungus seems like moss almost, seems like a plant, but then they can move. Lots of them can think, and it's just, super weird.
Yeah, I really honestly want to look into like mushrooms and fungus in general. I guess fungi, but it's so interesting to me that these plant-like things have some level of intelligence, like clearly.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, dude, like some evolutionary traits that they've gotten that help them survive. Because I think it was also on the Joe Rogan podcast, and maybe it was the same guy, because I don't remember hearing that. But he was talking about how long that they can live and how well they adapt to certain things. Like they change their like biological structure in order to like deal with stuff around them.
Yeah,
that's insane, so weird. Dude.
That's super, super cool.
Yeah. Yeah, creatures and fungi, dude. Fungi, I think, are going to take over the earth. That's going to be my bet.
Do you know what the biggest living single creature is? It's bigger than a blue whale.
Is it
or wait, I wouldn't say creature.
Trees?
It's not a creature. It's a living thing. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. There's a section of, I think it's California, where it looks like a forest of aspen trees.
I think it's Utah. I think it's in Utah.
Is it in Utah?
I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. On the surface, if you were walking around, it would look like a normal forest. There's trees everywhere. But that type of tree is one where if you plant it underground, its seed will, have a sprout that goes up and makes a tree just like a normal tree. But it's the same sprout, so the same plant that goes out and creates another tree that grows up. And so it's the same plant that's just, it's the same as growing more leaves, except it's just growing more trees to get more nourishment. And this one plant has created like thousands and thousands and thousands of aspen trees. And it's like total body mass, I don't even know if you'd use the word body for a plant, but its total biomass, I guess, is like significantly way bigger than a blue whale. So it counts as the biggest creature.
I can tell you some facts. So yeah, it's the Pando Aspen Grove. and it's in Utah. We could actually go if you wanted to. We should like go look at it.
I think that'd be really cool. It'd be creepy in a way to me. Something about standing there and knowing that all of these are connected to this just monstrous growth of roots that's like hundreds of feet wide.
I agree, dude. It's so creepy to me. It's 106 acres.
But is there anything about its like biomass or how big it would weigh?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't see that, but it's, I mean, 106 acres is so big. I want to get, oh, maybe this is.
What about 106 acres? How many square miles is that? How many?
Let's see, 106 acres, 2 miles.
Yeah. We should look that up for audio listeners. Daniel is looking it up. He is seeing
it's not that much.
how big. What is it?
106 acres. That's actually super weird. This only says that it's 0.16 square miles.
106 acres? Nuh-uh, isn't 1 acre. Hang on. 106 acres to miles. There's no way. 0.16 square miles. Convert 106. How big is an acre? Hang on. 1 acre. 1 acre to miles. Oh, dude, an acre is way smaller than I thought. Divide the area valued by 640. That makes me want to die.
Maybe a square mile, I think, is just bigger than I thought.
Dude, that's bugging me too much. I don't know. Basically, it's big, I promise. It's big. Dude. It's 106 acres, and you get there, and you're like, oh, the fence is over there, and there's the other fence, and it's right here. Really small. Hang on.
I'm so confused, dude.
Miles.
Okay, wait. 1 acre is 15 tennis courts.
Did you know that 0.16 miles is only 845 feet? Square feet? 0.16 miles is 845 feet.
There's got to be something incorrect then.
Why? Because it doesn't seem like an aspen forest would only be 845 feet.
It definitely does not seem like that.
Yeah,
Because wait, listen, dude, I'm so confused now.
106 acres. 106 acres to feet.
Because an acre itself, wait,
yo, guess what? Okay, this is the funniest one yet. I did 106 acres to square feet, and it said 4.617 error. Like it's 4.6 feet.
What?
I promise.
I'm so confused.
Look for video. Look, 106 acres to feet.
Bro, I'm so
Anyway,
confused.
I don't even want to
How
stick
big
to
is
this
1
subject.
Yeah, but it's saying 1 acre is 43,560 square feet.
Whoa! 1 acre to feet? 43,000 square feet?
Yeah.
Okay, now type
So
106.
there's something wrong with the acres to square miles.
Okay, well then let's do 43,500. Here, I'll do it right. I have a calculator on my desk. 43560 times 106 is 4,617,000 square feet. So then we divide that by 5,280, which is how many feet are in a mile. There we go. It's 8,745 square miles. 8,745.
I think we're
square
wrong
miles.
again. I'm so.
There's no way
confused,
that's wrong.
dude.
What do you mean?
No,
You
I
think
actually do. There's something weird happening because I looked up the same website that's saying an acre. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard on a podcast. Okay, but listen, 1 acre is 43,000 square feet. The same website says that 1 acre
is 5 feet.
Dude, I'm having such a hard time like visualizing this.
Well, we already solved it.
Acre is 1 over 640 square miles. So it's 101 to 640th square miles.
So you would divide the total number of acres by 640 to get the amount of miles, which is what that's why it came out as 0.16. Because 106 divided by 640.
Yeah, because it would be like around 1/6 of a square mile.
So that's
so that many acres,
wrong.
only 1/6 of a square mile.
But when we did 1 acre feet, and then times that by 106, and then divided by the amount of feet in a mile, then it can take 8,000 square feet.
Because there's something weird. There is something weird happening here that we're just.
No, it's 8,745 square miles. It has to be.
No, it's not, dude. I can tell you, it's not. Reason.
What's the name of the big tree cluster? What's the name of it specifically?
The Pando Aspen Forest.
Square miles. Okay, look, Pando Aspen Forest square miles. Yo, it just got more retarded. This said it's 106 square miles. Look,
wait,
video watchers. The Pando Aspen Forest square miles, 106 square miles. Maybe you read it wrong. Maybe it never said 106 acres. Maybe it said 106 square miles. It's an 80,000-year-old aspen grove.
It said.
Oof. Here's pictures of it. Looks like aspen trees. Looks like you're walking around in Minecraft.
Aspen trees.
Look, that's it. That's one plant right there. It's a sky picture. What did you call it? Overview? What's the name of a picture from this angle? Aerial view. It's an aerial view photo of a normal aspen forest that's really big. So. All right.
Dude,
next
what
topic,
dude. Section of a podcast.
Next topic.
Just wanted to remind you guys that you are listening to the Maximum Intelligence podcast.
You are, which is why we had to figure that out. So our ending answer was that it is either 874 square miles or 106 square miles. So
or 0.16 square
or
miles.
0.16 square miles. Yep.
And we're gonna leave that up to you to decide which one you think.
Leave it up to you. Try Googling it. I dare you. That's the challenge. That's what we recommend at the end of this episode is Googling how big an acre is.
Absolutely, dude. Wow. Oh my gosh. That was
it's still bugging me that it's not concluded.
Yeah. I'm gonna
do it after because I don't want to take this much of the podcast up on this. Daniel, when you and I were in high school, I asked you one time if you were on some let's say national TV news, like either news or science TV program. You knew millions of people were watching. There were scientists there, and they had this dude that was super healthy, probably as healthy as you could possibly be, and he said, "Daniel Finney, we want to cut off a section of my thigh, the meatiest section, and cook it for you right here on the show. It'll be well cooked, and we want you to eat it and then to describe what it tastes like, what it feels like in your mouth, its consistency, its smell, everything about it. And these journalists and these scientists are going to write it down, and we're going to learn so much for science. Will you please do it? We'll give you $1,000.
But the person is still going to be alive after that?
Yeah, he's totally fine, and he's willing to. He's like, the reason I just ate so healthy and worked out for so long was to have a very good piece of flesh.
My answer changes if he's still going to be alive, because I think it's wrong even for science to
But what if he's like, I really want you to. This is why I did it. I knew it'd be you to eat it. It's an honor for you to be the one that eats it. Please do it. Oh, look, I've already cut it off. Look, he already cut it off. It's already gone. It's cut off. It's fresh. It's right there. They're about to cook it. You can say yes or no.
Dude, I don't know. I would say that if I somehow was able to eat a portion of body that was already dead, and they had gone into it knowing that it's I want you to eat my body, I'm gonna die.
Why is it better if they're already dead? That seems like it'd be worse somehow.
No, for some reason I feel like I'm doing something wrong to them, because they're probably doing it for some for money, but they're hurting their body.
But it's already cut off. It's too late. You didn't even know it was already cut off. You got there and it's already been cut off.
That doesn't justify it. That doesn't mean that I want to be a part of that. That's kind of what I'm saying, because I don't want to be a part of them. So this isn't a question of, how about we just ask the question?
Would you eat human meat?
Would you eat human? Or yeah.
Okay, because I was just going to change
under
it
the
to
correct
him being
circumstances.
Dead.
Oh, what were you saying?
I was just about to change the situation to him being dead. So like
Yeah.
if he had just died, but he's like,
Something
please
like
see my
that.
body. Then he
Yep.
dies.
Yeah, I think I would do it.
Okay.
I do.
Interesting.
I would probably try human flesh.
I've always said I would. I've always said I would, and the reason I wrote this down on the notes to bring up is because my answer changed a couple nights ago to that I wouldn't.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason I've always said I would is because I don't think there's anything morally wrong with it. If anything, it's just another piece of meat. I'd be
You're
interested
talking
to
about
try
like
it.
health things though? Are
do
you
you
gonna bring up like a health thing? Of
Yeah,
like
yeah. The thing that changed my answer is there's an effect that human meat has on humans that I didn't know about.
Okay, yeah. So I also know what you're about to bring up. And in this case I wouldn't. Because I think in my mind I was going over a theoretical situation that it had been
Oh, I see.
somehow made healthy. But yeah, you can
Okay. Anyway, yeah, it's just interesting because I've always said yes, and then I learned this. There's this. I'd kind of heard that there's this dumb thing. I kind of thought it was not a very accurate thing, but I had heard that there's like the groups of cannibals and stuff that there are that once they start eating human meat, they like crave it and they really want it and all that. And I thought it was just a gay like conspiracy or like cultist type thing. But turns out if you eat human meat, there's something in it that changes the proteins in your brain to a different type of protein, and that'll spread throughout your whole body, and just basically all your proteins will switch somehow, I don't know how it works, to this other type of protein, and it just ends up to where you'll die. But there's been people that were forced to eat human flesh where they were like frozen to death, like their friends had frozen to death with them, like during helicopter crashes or like skiing incidences where they're stuck on a mountain, and they've eaten their friends and then survived it and come back, and they've been like subjects of like studies and stuff, and all of them report that there's, I can't say all of them, I actually don't know for sure that it's all of them, but I know multiple reported that when they smell meat cooking, any type of meat now, they crave skin flavor, the flavor that their skin was, and that when they like see movies or anything like Hannibal with that, they have this weird like anxiety feeling of like wanting to eat. They like don't want to. They're like, I would never do it again, but I do have this uncontrollable like anxiety.
What?
And I was like, are you serious? I was like, that's insane. And so then the person I was talking to that told me this, I was like, does that happen with any other animal? They're like, yeah, it's super, super similar to mad cow disease. It's like almost the same thing, just in humans. It literally gives you mad cow disease, but mad human disease.
Dude.
And I was like, that's crazy. Because mad cow disease happens in cows from cows eating cow meat. And it gives them mad, and which happens like on accident sometimes, or probably on purpose. I'm sure that's happened on purpose, but yeah, and then they just get this whack disease that makes them go crazy. And the fact, knowing that happens in humans is like unsettling to me. It's like, what the fuck?
I didn't know that aspect of it, but I knew that you would pretty much die eventually because of it, or something like that. Like there's something that I've heard of when you eat another. It's like any species, though. It's like any species that eats like meat of its own species has like this like weird biological thing. I'm sure it's not any, but there's a lot of things, because I think I've also heard that for sure with cows, and then I think I heard about that with like deer maybe. Yeah, it's so weird. But yeah, in that circumstance, no. And like if it at this point, if someone offered it, I would say no, and I would have already said no. But in a theoretical situation that it was completely healthy, like provable, then yeah, I'd do it.
There was this serial killer, or maybe he was just a grave digger. I can't remember. There was just this psycho weirdo one time that was eating all this human flesh, and he made a journal. Like he would write down very specifically what it tasted like and what it was like and everything. And that's the best source of that information that people use nowadays for what human flesh tastes like. And supposedly it's super similar to having veal, which is baby lamb. Like it tastes almost indistinguishable. He said it tastes just like veal.
But that's specifically baby lamb?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's real weird.
Yeah, because I think isn't normal lamb meat called mutton?
Yeah.
Something like that. You know how
I didn't know that.
You know how every kind of meat has a different name for its meat or every animal, their meat has a different name than just the name of the animal. Like chicken meat is poultry, isn't it? Or is that bird meat in general? Or is that just chicken? Like turkey isn't poultry, is it?
I think it is. I think it's also considered poultry because it's like a bird meat. I think.
But like cow is beef, and then pig is like ham, and then I think lamb or sheep is
domestic. Domestic fowls such as chickens, turkeys, ducks, and geese.
Poultry. Anyway, I heard one time that the reason that every animal's meat has a different name than the name of the animal is back in like medieval times, I guess you would call it, when there was a different class of people that had to make food for the royalty. They didn't want the people eating the meat didn't want to know specifically what type of animal they were eating because they felt bad. And so they literally made a different list of words, and then the people cooking it would know what animal that was. Isn't that weird to think about?
I'd believe it.
Like having meat and being like, don't know what animal, doesn't matter. I'm not going to think about that. It's just some meat.
That's so beta.
It's like, what the heck?
Like,
yeah, it seems super retarded.
That's actually like, it's not that surprising to me, but it would be kind of surprising to me. Just knowing how much like awful stuff would have happened back then, that's something that they're concerned with. But that's is like point. A whole nother level of like royalty. Like, I don't know.
Don't know what you're eating. You don't even make what you're eating. You don't know how to cook what you're eating. It's so weird.
Yeah, maybe. That's super funky.
Dude, side note, this isn't the next thing I was going to talk about, but just because you were talking about how bad life must have been back then, and that seems like a beta thing, it reminded me of, I watched Gladiator again recently, and I haven't seen the movie Gladiator since I was like 9 or 10, for a super long time. Dude, that is such a good movie. That's got to be in my top like 10, 15 favorite movies. I love Gladiator. Dang. But yeah, like the royalty in that movie, it's crazy how it's kind of like what we were talking about last week about rich people having a totally different list of concerns. That's what it's like. It's like they're so beta in so many ways. Like a lot of them, they don't know how to cook, they don't know how to sew, they don't know how to do any of the stuff that I'm sure 99% of their subjects know, but they're doing stuff like, which country they should invade or which, just totally separate types of problems that are like, what the heck? But yeah, they're kind of beta, sure, in a lot of ways. Yep. They're beta also.
Dude, it's surprising though how similar like they can get to our level of like ability just because of their insane amount of wealth. Like having music while like we talked about this, I think, but being able to listen to music while eating is, in that time, you would have to be insanely rich. Like having an orchestra or multiple people,
because they would have to be there
music,
right then.
Insane. But then, or sending messages across like insane distances is possible. Like we have some stuff that is just impossible, like flying across the country, instantly sending messages. But just because of how rich they were, they have access to so many things that we have access to.
Yeah,
which is surprising. Like constant clean water or a hot bath or whatever it may be, is like they have access to that.
And it's also weird to think about, what stuff do you think the rich people now, what would be the equivalent of royalty now, can do that one day we will easily be able to do without being rich?
Dude, I think about that very often, of how technology is already in like really rich people's hands that will one day just be brought down to the average consumer level. Like technology in phones, of having like a really nice camera, a really nice recording thing, or car stuff like what Tesla has of like self-driving
will be bottom of the line.
Yeah, like that's going to be in every car. Like that's going to be a standard thing. But thinking about their like 20 years in the future, or 10 years in the future, or 5 years in the future on certain technology things, because I just don't have enough money to have access to that.
Yeah. What things do you think will never trickle down? Like one might be private jet, to where if you want to get 10,000, 5,000 miles away today, you can do it on a whim. I don't think that might be something that never trickles down to the consumer for like 100 years.
Maybe not in my lifetime, but I think it eventually it will.
Yeah, eventually it will. Yeah. Yeah, because that's something that will take longer, because you have to have the resources to have a giant, at least right now, a giant plot of land and a plane and a pilot on the ready. And like, there's no way every consumer can have that,
Yep.
So, but yeah, that's interesting. Elon Musk
Super weird,
became
dude.
the most rich person in the world in this last week, or was that 2 weeks ago?
I don't know.
He
Maybe
surpassed.
2 weeks ago. But that I heard about that. That's crazy. Do you think Tesla stock is gonna crash?
Is there a reason that it might? I don't know.
Because as far as I've heard, my like super simple understanding is their the worth of their stocks is so much more than the actual like earnings of that company. Like it would
Yeah,
have to
it's
be
way more.
yeah, it's a very weird instance of like that money makes so much, or that company makes so much less money than what they're like worth.
Yeah, that's something
uh
Ethan said the
Insane.
day Musk passed up Bezos. Ethan had come over to my house, and Ethan's my cousin, by the way, and he said he was almost like mad about it because he doesn't like diss on Tesla, but he just doesn't understand why they're as popular as they are compared to like these other massive, Ford and all of them that are making
Hmm.
these big trucks and everything. And he's like, what does Elon Musk have as far as assets? What does he have that makes him $140 billion? And I go, just investments. Just
Hmm.
investors giving him money because they trust that the company will do well. And then that makes the company do well, and then more investors invest. It's just an endless loop. And he was just like, yeah, but for how little Teslas they sell, they've sold, so few. And I was like, I know, it's kind of retarded, but all of this money the investors are giving him is going to make him build more gigafactories and build more batteries. And, eventually it'll get to where they can pump out as many as Ford, but
Hmm.
they just can't yet because there's not enough. But if they had the infrastructure, I'm sure they would,
Hmm.
and all that money is going to help him get the infrastructure. And then I was also thinking about this: is SpaceX profitable? Like, the investors are
I have
giving
no
them
idea. So
money.
SpaceX is not just run by it's not run by like just investors and stuff like that. Did you know NASA pays SpaceX? Like NASA gives tons of money. They're
It,
not rivals.
yeah, I know.
Um,
It's to use their rockets though. It was to like get their astronauts up to the ISS and things like that.
yeah, and so NASA hires and like pays SpaceX to do like a bunch of different stuff. But I don't know if it's a profitable thing. That's a whole different type of industry. I have no idea. Like the whole space industry, I
Yeah,
know nothing about.
because I was thinking about it because I know there's investors that are like, you can buy SpaceX stock, as far as I'm aware.
Mhm.
But what
Wait,
is the
can you?
return on that?
SpaceX?
As far
I'm
as I'm
pretty.
aware,
Yeah, I think
is
you're right. Yeah.
SpaceX
Let
listed
me.
on the stock exchange? While SpaceX is still privately held, there are publicly traded space stocks for investors to consider. So no,
Yep.
it's not even on the market. Never mind. Dang.
That's
Uh,
interesting.
it's kind of weird, but it kind of makes sense in a way because what profit can you get? You know, like eventually, of
Yeah.
course,
At
there'll
this
be
moment.
mining companies that are mining asteroids, and but then you would just invest in that company. But this one is
Hmm.
just building the technology. So
So also just really quick. This is really dope to me. In the last month, I'm just gonna do percentage. In 1 month, my stocks have gone up 23%.
that's epic.
That's super insane to me. That's
that
crazy.
That's really epic. I had 36%. I think that was the highest 36% increase in the first like 5 or 6 months I had stock. Maybe it was four
Uh,
months. It was something like that. But that is to be expected because I invested at the
right, the
coronavirus
super low.
lowest
Hmm.
point. But it was just cool to think about. But yeah, if
Yep.
you look at only like a month window or even a 6 month window, there's gonna
Yep.
be really big highs and really sharp lows. Because it's when you zoom out and look at the whole graph over a course of like 40 years that you can kind of
Hmm.
see if that was a thing worth investing in, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But
There,
for
it's
day
actually been
traders, then that matters. But day
yeah,
trading is
it's
mega
been
risky.
really fun looking at like me as a hobby almost just trying to find stocks to buy, and it's not even something that it's like an insane amount of money that I'm even trading with. Like it's really not, but the like percentage wise, it's like really cool to me just seeing like because almost every single stock that I've thought about and not just been like told to buy, I've made money off of. Like the one a recent one that I did was the company Afria, which is a cannabis company, and I bought it for 650, and it's up to like $13. which is insane. And that's one that I went through like the process of like researching it and like finding out about it, and like seeing all these things about like, oh, it's really good because the company is good at like expanding slowly, and that's why it's like a safe company and whatever. And then like I did the same thing with AMD. It went from $54 when I bought it, and it's up to 93. And
That's
all the
cool.
companies, like literally every single company that I have done the time to like research and like put money into, I've made money on.
That's really cool.
Dope.
The I think it'd be fun to like do some type of day trading competition or game or something, to where you each have like $200 or $100 to work with, but then you just get these like almost like penny stocks, but they're just really cheap, like, you know, from $0 to $10, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But then you do it to where you only have like 1 week, and you have to see who makes the most money, and then
that would be really fun.
You just trade and sell and trade and buy and all this. That'd be pretty fun.
Yep. So this is, I will give a specific amount. This was 3 days ago. This is actually so cool to me. I really wanted to start investing in companies that research psychedelics, because I think that's going to be like a really big part of the future. So I found one that I wanted to invest in. It's called Celos Therapeutics, because it's all medical based, of like using psychedelics for like medicinal purposes. And I bought 100 stocks. It cost me $176 because it was $176 at the time that I bought it. And that was 3 days ago, and it's already gone up to $262. So in 3 days, I've made $86 just from that.
Dude, that's dope. That's so cool.
Isn't that so cool? Like, that's like, for some people, like, that's a day's work.
Yeah, it's a significant amount of money.
Like,
you should
that's
divide
crazy.
that by, how much was that, 86? Yeah, so a normal 8-hour work shift making $10.75 an hour. A whole day. Wait, I didn't divide that by 3. I didn't divide that by 3. That was if you'd made it in one day.
I know. I'm just saying, yeah. It's not the amount for 3 days worked, for sure.
Yeah,
but
it was $3.50 an hour for those 3 days, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's
really
so
dope.
cool to me, dude. I love stuff like this, and it is interesting seeing, like, I feel like a lot of my friends have slowly been getting more and more into investing. Like, me and Rand have done a ton of stuff together, looking into different things. One of the weird stuff, dude, I've been getting onto the subreddit Wall Street Bets, which is insanely funny to me.
Hey, Max.
Because the community that they've built on that website is like so toxic, and like they're so demeaning to everyone. Like, they keep on, like, everyone calls everyone else like retards and autists and stuff like that. And it's so funny though, because they do these dumb things in the market where they just like make it a meme of like, this stock, it's going to the moon. And then people just start, like, they have these YOLO posts, like that's a flare of the post, where people put like $10,000 plus on a specific stock, and you have no idea if it's going to go up or down. And I recently joined in. I did a BlackBerry, like the phone company. That was the most recent meme. They're just like, it's gonna be huge, and everyone on that subreddit uses the rocket emoji. It's like, we're blasting off to space, boys.
Dude, that's so
and
funny.
so I was like, you know what, whatever, I'll just invest in it. And it went. I didn't have crazy gain like some of the people that bought it early, but I bought it at $12.87, and then it's gone up to $15. Which is actually like still pretty good. That was also 3 days ago.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't even know,
it's
honestly.
So funny.
I don't know how to do. I've just never done like what you're doing. I don't know what you call it. You wouldn't call it day trading, I guess, but like just buying a stock one day and being able to sell it 2 or 3 days later. You know, just single stocks, things like that. I've never done that, so I would want to talk to you at some point.
We should figure it out, and it's just so much fun. And that's actually, so this is really interesting to me. Robinhood has been like under fire by like mainstream media because of they started saying that it's like an extremely addictive app, and it like literally people that use that are like usually addicted to it, like checking it really often. It's like a gambling thing, putting more money into the app than they should be putting into it.
You should explain what Robinhood is for people that don't know.
So Robinhood is an app that it's free to buy and sell stocks, which is like a really cool feature. And you can do it like pretty much in an instant. It's a very consumer friendly way to get into stocks. And so that's like what a lot of my friends and I use to buy and sell stocks just like casually, just a little phone app. And apparently it's just gotten some heat because it's so easy and it's so addictive.
It'd be like if there was a gambling app, a slot machine that was like, look, we're addictive. We're super addictive.
Yeah.
Download it. I kind of get why it's falling under, I guess, criticism. But, another way, it's like, if you want to use that to sell your thing, I feel like you should be allowed to, right?
Right.
Wouldn't it be
but
like
then also the weird side effect is like if people are addicted to just like putting money into it, it's like they're addicted to saving, which is like a real thing, or like addicted to investing,
But
which
it's not
in some
necessarily
ways is
saving, because you could be
I
doing
agree.
it
I agree.
and then it goes down. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. Like addicted to these huge gamble bets, sure. But if they're like they keep on wanting to buy more and more stock, because I've actually never sold on Robinhood.
Yeah,
because
in that
I'm
sense,
so
it would be
confident,
like
then
saving.
I think it's going to go up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and any stock that I've had long term has gone up, even if it dips down and I lose $20 in a day or whatever. It's always gone up.
Yeah, I've never understood people like, oh, all my stocks went down and collapsed, and like you hear stories when 2008 collapsed happened. How so many people were so depressed. You had people that killed themselves because they lost $10,000 or $50,000 over the course of a couple months because how drastic it dropped. But I've never got that because it's like you should go, yo, that's dope. I should put more money into it and then wait it out, because never in history has the stock market gone down and then stayed down. So that would require the whole economy collapsing permanently.
Because you're talking about if the investor has a generalized portfolio, a well-rounded portfolio.
That's a good point. If it was just in real
stocks
estate.
in different like areas. But if someone, I can totally see like if someone has a ton of money in one company and then that company's stock goes down by 50%, that's a huge deal, because a lot of times that's for a specific reason, and that company did something bad, or their earnings report is super bad.
Yeah, that's a good point. If that much money was only in a few companies or maybe even one industry, then it could collapse without hope of going back up. That's true. I guess my point was, I was wrong about my point. If it ever went down now,
I think that's fair. I think like that is just the easiest and safest way to invest, is having like a little bit in tons of different areas.
Yeah. Yeah. As of right now, if the whole economy got to some insane level below where it was for COVID or anything, let's say I lost like $5,000 or something, I would literally just try and hurry and put another like $6,000 into it, so that when everything evened back out and everything was normal again. But again, that's considering my portfolio. That would be a good idea to do it in. It wouldn't be if you're only in real estate or whatever.
Yep.
So
that is one of the weirdest things that I've noticed, like personally, is when I see a stock like on my AMD, it went from $54 to $90. I still think that they're going to be very successful in the future, and there's no signs that they're going to stop being successful. Every single time they come out with a new generation of processors, they keep on getting better and better compared to the competition. But it's almost like I refuse to buy it anymore, because I bought it once at such a low that it's like, you know what? I don't know if I'm like, I can't take the risk anymore. But I had the same idea with Tesla. Like a long time ago, I saw that it was at 50 and I was like, oh, maybe I'd buy it. 50 is still kind of high for a stock though. And then it went up to 150 and it's like, ooh, that's too much. I wish I would have bought it at 50.
Yeah, but now if it hits
and it's
300,
at like $750 or $800, and it's like, bro, if I bought it at 150, dude, it's
that's
so
funny.
weird. That's like everyone experiences that when investing. It's like, bro, I should have bought it.
Yeah.
But
what if you did it this way, where
personally is weird.
Instead of basing it off of the price of a specific stock, what if you put aside like $50 a week or $50 a month, or almost like a budget item, like a bill, and you went, I'm going to invest this $50 in the stock market, every month and just obviously hope that you're putting it in stuff that's going to go up. But then if you find something like Tesla or something that's at 100 right now, then you go, okay, next month I'll do that. And then maybe it went up to 120, but you have 150 saved up now. Then you buy one. You know, that might be a smart way to do it, because then you're not like
scared. That's what I'm saying though, because I don't like going back to things that I've previously invested in and then investing more in that, because it's like that ship has sailed. It's like I put my money in that and then it's gone. Even though there's companies that are still most likely going to go up in value still. Like there's no reason for me to think that they're not.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I already invested in it. Like it's like diminishing returns. It's like, dude, I got so much out of that. That doubled in price. But then if I bought it now, what is it gonna like? You know, like maybe I'll get 20% back or 50% back, or it'll double again. But my original money would have quadrupled at that point. So yeah, dude, it's weird.
Wild. It's really
so funky. So I think like I do pretty consistently add money to my Robinhood account. But whenever I add money, I almost always have bought new stocks that I don't have in my portfolio yet. Like I don't go back and reinvest, which is weird.
Yeah, I feel like at some point, once you get past, like, I guess not get past, but like the first time you invest in something you've already invested in the past, like let's say Tesla or something is about to come out with a new car and everyone's like, I promise it's going to skyrocket, and then you bought some. Do you think that would get you past the hump, and that you would after that start then investing in stuff you've already invested in, or do you think you still would be leery too?
I don't know. I really couldn't tell you, because it just feels like a waste of money almost to invest money in something that has already gone up.
Yeah, but if it's
even
going,
it'll probably I know it'll probably go up even more. It's a dumb way of thinking, but that's just like how I like feel about it. I really want you to get into this, and then
I would love to. I think it'd be really fun. I think it might be unhealthy for me too, because I have spending problems.
It is so much fun. Like checking my Robinhood, be like, oh my gosh, dude, it went up this much today. Like, let's see how much I made just today. I actually haven't checked.
But dude, the first day that I wake up and check it and go, oh, I lost $50. How much did you make today?
$123.
Yeah, but how much have you put in there total?
How much I've put into Robinhood total?
Yeah.
I have put. Come on. That's actually insane. I've put only $1,540.
That's way more than I expected. I thought you were gonna say like 600,
yep.
500.
But that's actually really insane gains, because think about that. That's 10%? Like 120 is almost 10%.
Yeah.
Of that. That's pretty crazy.
That's good.
Yeah, dude. It's freaking fun stuff. I think you're gonna get really into it, dude.
Yeah. But the very first day that I wake up and go, oh, I lost $50 last night, I'm just gonna be so like, I'm not gonna.
I know.
Plus, I don't want to spend the time researching. I mean, I know I should, but how long do you think it takes you to like research?
It's really not that long, because I don't put like that much money into any company. I think the most that I've spent on a company is like $300.
It would be hard for me to ever put money into something that I knew was. I mean, it'd be hard for me not to put money in companies I know are going to go up, but the individual stock is probably pretty expensive. Like, I would really want to buy a Tesla and a Disney and a Google.
Yeah.
But then it's going to be like $700 for one or something. I'm gonna be like,
I was talking about this with Rand. So on Robinhood, you can buy like a fraction of a stock, or like you can buy only like a certain amount. Like in some companies, I own like 0.34 of a stock.
Yeah.
Like something dumb like that. But it's so much like less satisfying. Like not having a full stock, even though percentage wise, if a company goes up 30%, then my stock and what I own of that went up 30%. Like financially and monetarily, like it has zero impact, right? But it's so much worse buying big stocks for some reason. Like it sucks.
That's really weird.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to see what my average has been per month. So this much growth
of how much you put in.
Yeah, wouldn't you just divide the growth by the amount of months that have passed? Or the profit,
yeah.
I guess.
I really don't know. For that situation,
I can't do the math for some reason. Anyway, it's been good.
Math is hard.
So, suicide. Some people commit
Okay.
suicide sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah,
it's
it's
a thing.
unfortunate.
There was a show called 13 Reasons Why.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever watch that show?
I did not.
Me neither. I didn't either.
Yep.
The idea of it didn't sound interesting or fun, and then the more I heard about it, the less I wanted to watch it.
Yep.
And I heard an interesting statistic the other day because I watched a good movie that had the same actress as Hannah Baker, who slits her wrists and kills herself in 13 Reasons Why. And so then for some reason we started talking about it, and I Googled. Turns out, in the United States, kids between ages 10 to 17, or the suicide rates for kids between 10 to 17 went up 28.9% in the month following the release of that show. So almost a 30% increase in suicides for ages 10 to 17. Dude, and
that's insane.
It doesn't surprise me because one of the big reasons I hated the idea of that show was that it seemed like it was glorifying. Like this girl was getting all this attention. She was doing all these like after she had died, she was doing all these satisfying things as far as like rubbing it into the people who caused her to commit suicide and all of this stuff. And everything about it was just like, look at the effect you can have if you kill yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like killing yourself is this big effect. It's the biggest thing you can do because all these people think about you and give you all this attention and all this stuff. And I was just like, dude, I just don't want to watch that. And then there was a second season. I don't even know what the plot of that one was, but I know that Davin talked about a scene at the end. Dude, Davin, so one of our other friends, Davin, he went really hard for 13 Reasons Why. He watched the whole thing. He talked about it all the time. It was really toxic. I kept telling him not to, and he kept watching it. And then at the end of season 2, he's like, yeah, this dude gets raped in a public bathroom with a broomstick. And it's a really, really dry, bad broomstick, and it's graphic, and it shows blood. And I was like, and he's like, that's just kind of how it ends. And I was like, dude, to me, that's the same as like watching like the Gauntlet Challenge. Do you know what that is? Dude, the Gauntlet Challenge is the series of 20 videos on the internet that are supposedly trying to be the hardest to watch videos in existence. And it's stuff like a dude with an erection getting a drill bit and going into his urethra.
Oh my gosh.
It's stuff like that. Or like this dude that tries to sit onto a jar to get it to go in him, and then it shatters into him. I'll stop giving examples, but the point is that it's bad. And I think, okay, the whole reason I brought this up is I think people like drastically underestimate the permanent effects that watching something can have on your mind and your psyche and your emotions. Like horror movies or 13 Reasons Why or stuff, just because it's mainstream doesn't mean it's just chill and fine to watch. And like, I wanted to get your opinion on, do you think it can actually affect someone to watch something like 13 Reasons Why? Besides the stats.
Sure, dude.
Yeah, but like you'd think, I'm sure people like Davin or people that got into it or people that watch a lot of horror movies with tons of gore and stuff like that are just like, I know it's fake. Like, I'm not considering suicide. I know it's fake. It was just entertaining how they set up the show. I still think there's just a major effect that it can have because not only, like, it's not just saying, like, oh, look, it's okay to commit suicide. Like, no one's dumb enough to go, oh, it's okay. But it must have, like, a subconscious, like, desensitizing effect on everything, you know?
I think it's like desensitizing, but it's also, it's like, this is a lot of people that like may like want attention from like cutting themselves or contemplating suicide might have gotten this justification from watching that show. It's like they watch that show and he's like, you see, that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And so I think even subconsciously, it could be this like affirmation to them of like, it does work. It exists. Like, exactly what I had expected the outcome to be, that is what happens.
Yeah.
Real weird, dude.
Yeah. So I've only seen like 3 horror movies in my life. Aside from It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, to me that was more of like admiring CGI and stuff like that. I know it's a horror movie, but it honestly, dude, I love the character Pennywise so much. And him transforming and doing this stuff was literally me going, that was really cool, like sci-fi and CGI and like, I don't know. That doesn't matter.
So I haven't seen the second one, but the first one was genuinely just like a good movie. I really liked it. Like even the kid actors were very impressive.
It's almost like a different category of horror, if that makes sense. But as far as the actual mainstream horror, besides those ones, I've only seen like 3 movies. But the last one I watched was a very big, pretty new, popular one called Hereditary. And I was watching it, and it was like, there's parts of it that, you know, like if something's overly gory and stuff, I was like, pretty gross. It like kind of made me sick. And then all the stuff with like the demons and like they're summoning demons and all this stuff is just kind of gay to me. That doesn't, not a big deal. And then, but dude, when it gets into stuff like, there's something weird about watching like a husband like beating his wife, or like a brother accidentally kills his sister and has to deal with like the whole family's judgment and the guilt.
Oof.
Anytime it's like that type of like discomfort that the writers are trying to cause the viewer, something about that seems like they're underestimating the danger of that. Like there's something about that seems actually wrong morally, to intentionally get people and want people to pay you to watch this awful thing.
I think the only counter argument, I haven't seen that show, but a lot, like, you're thinking that only bad stuff could happen. But like, what if like a good effect came from that? Even if it made them feel very uncomfortable, what if it made them feel more empathetic? Like the outcome, the change the next day is like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for that person.
I think though that then you could say that there's no way to fully get across the pain or the guilt or the whatever that character is feeling in video form. There's no way to realize, to like show the viewer how awful that is.
But you're talking about, so if we agree that it has some level of effect on them, I think I have watched movies that have made a positive effect on who I am.
Yeah, I do.
That have made me more understanding of other people, their viewpoints, their pain, their struggles, right? So it's only if they pull it off, like if they can have a good outcome. I think some movies are made just for entertainment. Like they're not really intentionally like, oh, I want to have a positive impact on this person's subconscious, right?
Yeah.
There are some movies made like that, some aren't. But I think, I would guess that a lot of people that worked on 13 Reasons Why did not want to glorify that. In most cases, they probably wanted to show how bad it was or how hard it was. They just did it in a really dumb way. Like they didn't think about it. Because wouldn't you agree that most people, like if you ask them, it's not like they think suicide is fine, but they really just miss the mark on how like they didn't think about it enough.
Well, 13 Reasons Why is kind of a different type of thing I'm talking about. I think I agree with you that I think a lot of the people working on it weren't trying to glorify it, and it accidentally just ended up being something that had that bad effect, right? But what I mean more is like just genuine, like Davin watching The Gauntlet. He also watched all 20 of those videos. He watched the entire thing.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Wait, you watched it too?
I have not seen it, no.
Oof.
Davin watched it. But I was saying the reason I didn't watch it, I think that he doesn't get, or that a lot of people might not get. Don't you think there's some kind of damage that it does to see a real beheading or something like that? Or do you think it just doesn't do any damage?
No, I do for sure.
Yeah, so what I mean is like in horror movies, when they do the same type of thing, don't you think it's doing some kind of damage there?
Not necessarily, because I think you can come away with a different perspective. Like I think
I agree with that. I think it can be positive.
I think there is a level of like desensitization that can be very bad. But I think in horror movies, knowing that it's not real, I think
is the biggest
release. I don't see how a lot of good can come out of real videos of like real bodily harm. Like the subreddit that used to exist, Watch People Die. That I don't see how there would be a benefit to who you are by watching those videos. but I think benefit still could come out of video or like a horror movie.
Yeah,
You know?
I could almost make a better argument for the opposite, or at least an argument for
Really?
the opposite. I think that the good in watching the real videos, specifically ones like terrorist actions, I think that you can get a lot from accepting and realizing how bad people can be in real life, that there is genuine evil and that there is people that, you know, are like will hurt you just to hurt you. It's not like a misunderstanding situation. And realizing that I think that there is a benefit in that, and when it's in a horror movie, it's like there can be a positive benefit, but mostly it's like they're trying to give you this sick,
factor.
awful feeling, and that it's like I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe it's just that I get no positive anything out of watching a horror movie. That might be it, but it's just like I don't get it. I was just like, it seems like me seeing these things is like worse for my mind. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like later for
I
weeks.
would agree. I would fall into that camp. I don't watch horror movies because I have the same experiences with them and the same feelings. But
yeah, I was like
I
sick
don't know
the whole time, and then after I watched it, I was like, dude, my life is definitely not better after having seen that. And then for like weeks, every once in a while, I would like hear a sound or whatever, and not get scared, but get like, oh, I just thought of that gross movie. That makes me sick. It wasn't like a scared feeling, like oh. It was more like a ugh, gross, that's bad.
Yeah.
It was not good.
Yep, I get you.
Yeah.
I do understand what you're saying.
So overall, do you
stepping in.
think they should have made 13 Reasons? Why?
No, I don't.
I think it was bad.
Yeah, I think that's a really easy one for me to say because I think they just messed up. Like it's a topic that if you do it wrong can be very harmful. Like, yeah. And I think that they did it wrong because they're also reaching such an impressionable audience.
I almost
like
think
if
that
that's
they
like
were
the age range,
purposely going for the audience of people that have contemplated suicide. Maybe not to get them to do it, but at least like we want to give off this vibe that those people will relate to. And I feel like that's almost like seems like an obvious like, how about you don't do that? You know, how about you don't make a movie that makes people that have thought about dying intentionally go, oh, I know how that feels. I know how it feels to want to die, and like remind them of something like that. That just seems.
It's the like romanticizing of it. It's like because it's like this quirky teen show, and they just messed up on it because I think you could make a good movie about that and like truly showing empathy to that range and like talking about those like very difficult topics because I don't think a good world would have zero discussion about that in mainstream media.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But they have to do it well. They have to like the outcome has to be a actual beneficial product. What's surprising to me is that it was released. Like
it passed all of the critics.
Like how does that happen? How does a company like Netflix or like maybe a test audience not have that to say? Or is it so corrupt in that company?
I think it's just a lack of diverging opinions in the company.
I don't even think it could. I feel like I would be more inclined to be that people brought that up and it was ignored because they knew it was going to be successful.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess maybe
and they'd already put so much money into it.
Yeah,
like millions and millions of dollars.
Well, it's like Cuties. Like, did they take Cuties off of? Did you hear that whole thing?
Yeah, dude.
Did they take that
off? I'm pretty sure it's still on there.
Still on there?
Yep. And I don't have a Netflix account now because of it.
Wait, what do you mean? You intentionally don't pay them now because they made that?
Yep. So like our family, we canceled our Netflix subscription because of that.
That's crazy. So that's interesting. I never thought of even doing that. So I guess a lot of people probably must have done that, huh?
Yeah, there was a huge spike in cancellations, but they just didn't take it off, which is actually disappointing to me. I wish there was more. I wish that was something that more people thought of, because I really disagree with.
Yeah. Well, you should explain what Cuties is, so people know.
Cuties it's a movie that is trying to show uh, this coming of age in young girls that are in religious families, and they're coming into their sexuality and using their sexuality through dance to become popular and get attention. And there are scenes in that movie. I have done enough research into it to know that, like, towards the end of the movie, they do this extremely sexual dance, and the crowd starts booing, and then there's like some level of realization in the main characters that, like, this is wrong. Like, I shouldn't be doing this. So that's a very good thing. That is good. Like, the conclusion that it came to and the message that it's trying to portray. The reason that I and a lot of people dislike it is because it was filmed so sexually, and the actors are legitimately like 11 to 13. Like, that is the age range of those actors.
Yeah.
Like, some of them were 11 at the time of filming, and you are having legitimate camera crews zooming up on their butts while their butts are shaking, and these super sexual dance moves. And like,
dude, that's so whack to think about. That genuinely, like, the effects that the actresses in real life probably have from that has got to be a little twisted from normality, you know?
Yeah, like, if you're trying to portray that, at least get young looking adults. Get some
at least
19-year-olds, 20-year-olds that look like they're in high school, that look like they're 15 maybe instead.
Yeah.
Like, move up your age range of who you're portraying in the movie, and then get actors that are legal adults at least, dude. Like,
at minimum, yeah. I mean, even that's too far because you're still in the show sexualizing still portraying
minors. It's like, how that show was filmed was so wrong. Like, they literally messed up. The end goal did not justify the means at all, dude.
Yeah.
Like, the means were just inherently wrong. And so, like, I have no way of being able to justify. Like, I will say it's like, cool, I get the intention, and I honestly could see that the director may have had good intentions. But there's like such a level of normalcy and like trying to normalize that like level of sexuality in that age of children. And it's like, bro, that movie was like a pedophile's wet dream.
Ugh.
Yep.
Yeah, that's I never saw it, never even clicked on it. I didn't even know it was a thing until way after, like, I heard about that there was a controversy, you know, it was like controversy, and then I was like, what is that? And then I went, that looks gross. I didn't even know it was a big thing, but nasty.
It's so weird.
Whack. Do you think that you could make an argument? Obviously, you couldn't make a good argument. And before we even, before I even ask this question, I just want to say to anyone listening, I do not advocate or like the Holocaust in any way. But Daniel,
bro, that disclaimer, I was like thinking some like tame. Yo, that's
do you
okay.
think you could?
What are you about to say?
Just as a debate exercise, make a point. Do you think you could make an argument that the Holocaust, in the long run, has done more good than bad? Or do you think there's no way to even come close to making a good argument?
Okay. Bro,
what? You
can
say I don't think
argument.
I can.
I think you could, because you could make an argument for sure, whether or not it's going to be good or not, that a bad thing like gave birth to many good things.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you can see that. Like, I could bring up specific situations that came out of that, like international treaties and stuff that like
human rights
that came out of it.
Things,
human rights,
realizing the danger that can come, and even the possibility that something like that can happen.
Just because I can bring up good things that have happened, yes, you could make an argument. But it's like, dude, the means clearly did not justify.
You think if I listed every single pro, if you had a pros and cons list, every single pro that happened from it, obviously the cons would be, what, 30 million people dying, 6 million Jews?
6 million Jews, yeah.
Something
so many
like that.
People dying.
That's a big means. But do you think as the longer in time you get, like once it was 500 years ago, once it was 1,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, that eventually it gets to where the pros outweighed the cons?
No,
or do you think that's
because
impossible?
you're saying that there wouldn't be good things that would have happened otherwise. What if some of those people led to the discovery of a cure for cancer?
Yeah.
Right. And I know that people have said that argument in the past, but that's a real thing. Because just because things happened in this timeline that the Holocaust happened
Doesn't mean
doesn't
it would
mean
have
that
been
other
better in the
good
end.
stuff that could have been a better universe. I would honestly probably
It
guess
probably
that it
was
is.
a better universe. Yeah.
Yeah, the lack of World War II probably led to a better world.
Well, yeah, that seems
than what we
it
have
seems like
now,
a pretty obvious
you know.
statement.
Yeah.
If the Holocaust hadn't happened.
Yeah,
But it would be funny.
You can make an argument in theory that
Do you think there's an
because of
argument
good stuff
online
happened.
somewhere we could find like why the Holocaust will end up being better or
But dude, you can make that argument
and
about anything bad, like even just stuff in your life. Because I'm happy with like who I am today. It's like, oh, I'm glad that all these bad things happened.
I know, but the whole point of all of this is that no one ever talks about the good that came out of the Holocaust. Never. It makes sense as to why not. It was such an awful, horrible thing. I still don't want to come across like, listen. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's probably this might be the only time in my life that I have ever and may ever even talk about the possibility, the good things about the Holocaust. Does that make sense? That's the only point I was trying to make, is that that's never discussed.
Yes, there was nothing good about the Holocaust, but there has been good things that have happened because of the Holocaust.
Okay, yeah. That's what
Right.
I mean.
Just
to phrase it better, phrase it more accurately.
Wrap it. Yes.
Wrap it up. Okay, cool. Do you know what?
That's a risky conversation right there, my guy.
Do you know what Oumuamua is?
Did
you hear about that guy, the thing in space that we saw in October?
Nope.
All right, so imagine this, right? We have telescopes all over Earth that are looking into space, hundreds, thousands, looking at stuff, tracking stuff, whatever, right? In October of 2017, an object from outside of our solar system, where the trajectory it was coming, there's no way it was previously orbiting around our sun, came into our solar system. And I didn't even know this, but it was the first time we'd ever seen an object enter our solar system from interstellar space.
I'm listening. I'm going to disappear for 15 seconds.
Okay.
First time.
I assumed that was a common occurrence, is that rocks and asteroids and stuff came from interstellar space into our solar system. But no, supposedly this was the very first one that came outside of our solar system. Because a lot of times asteroids and comets and things that are flying around are to some degree orbiting around our sun in some way. They're in our solar system, at least, right? The boundary we consider our solar system. This was the first time came in without having like interstellar object, right? Comes in, can't really see it. It's just like a dot coming, right? Gets closer and closer to the sun, and it starts, its path starts conforming to what you would expect from getting affected by the sun's gravity, right? It starts kind of curving. And then randomly out of nowhere, it went and switched directions. And when it switched directions, nothing hit it. Nothing came into contact with it. And the light that was reflecting off it, because it's just like a dot for the telescope, right? The dot got 10 times bigger than it was, and then back, and then 10 times bigger again, and then back, and 10 times bigger again. So the light that it was reflecting increased by a surface area of 10 times, like over and over again, like that. And then that's when it switched directions. And it switched directions.
Wait, what was this called?
Oumuamua.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, I want to look into that later. That's insane.
Well, the reason that it in the last like month has come back into like the media is because it's gotten close enough to where we can actually see its shape and its size, and it's 10 times longer than it is wide. So it's like a hot dog. It's like a long. You're probably, if you're Google imaging it, you can probably see. Video listeners, this is a picture of the general shape of what it is. And the reason it just came back into the media is because recently, in the past like month or two, a dude wrote a paper. I can't remember if he's like an astrophysicist or an astronomer or what he is, but he's in that field, and he wrote a paper saying that it seems more likely than anything else that it's an extraterrestrial made object. And he didn't think that was that, supposedly in the interview, he didn't think it was that big of a thing to say that it seems most likely it's alien. He was like, I didn't expect it to blow up or be a big deal, but it did. Mm-hmm. And even my colleagues were like mad at me for saying that. Like, that's so dumb you would say that and get the whole public to think like that. And he's just like, I just looked at the evidence, and every other asteroid we see compared to their shape, and we know it's not a comet, all these different things about it. And he's like, it just makes the most sense that this is what happened. And then the light reflecting off it getting 10 times bigger was what he thinks a possibility of what it is it's called a solar sail, which is I think it's in like some cartoons and stuff we have where it's a sail like on a sailboat to capture more light from a light source, and then it can transfer that into energy, so that way you don't have to bring the energy for the ship on the ship. You can just get close to something that produces light and then pop out your sail and get tons of energy. It's the exact same thing a ship works. A ship on the sea, a sailboat, doesn't carry its power with it. It just has a sail so that it can capture wind and use that as its power source. So it's the exact same idea, but with light. And
I don't know. I'm so skeptical of stuff like that. And also, so this thing, people have been talking about it on Reddit since like 2017.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, October of 2017 is when we first saw it. It just came back into the media because the guy said, from everything we know about it now, got close enough.
I thought you said last October. Interesting.
No, he was like, it seems to be extraterrestrial. And then everyone's like, oh, don't say that. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. What do you think about
that? I've always been skeptical of aliens. I just
don't find it likely.
No, I think there's just nothing that has led to me believing that like alien life exists. Like, I do believe in like UFOs. To me, would be like if there was like an intelligent UFO that we saw that was provable that it's not human, then it's like, okay, I'm more likely to believe that it's an angel or a demon or something like that you can just see, like something like that flying through the sky. Then yeah, I'm way more likely to believe that than that there's an actual alien race.
That's interesting. To me, I agree. Like, even if you say there's no evidence that we found for aliens, if you were to say that, I think just statistically, it's way more probable that it exists than it doesn't.
Why?
Because of
statistically, humans shouldn't exist.
I know, but that's based on, if you look at everything we know for sure where there is life or isn't life, you have all the life on Earth. And then if you look at how much there is that there could be life on that we can't see whether or not there is or isn't,
right,
is billions and billions of times more space where there could be life, but we don't know if there is. Just the actual surface area where life is habitable. And so it's like, I mean, that alone seems like it's like, you know, if you're looking at it from an evolutionary, like strictly only evolutionarily, then it's like, yeah, humans shouldn't exist. Very crazy. Consciousness emerged somehow from somewhere. It doesn't make any sense.
And that life came from what? Carbon and stuff colliding?
Yeah, stuff like that.
Who knows?
But
yeah, I think
definitely
because I don't think we've ever found like provable that molecules of life have existed on anywhere else besides Earth. Because you know how they've like, there's life on the moon, but there's a very good chance that even just dust from Earth, like from an asteroid hitting Earth like millions of years ago, carried life from Earth to those places. Like we've never been able to prove that it didn't originate from Earth.
Yeah, and then there is stuff like that. There's since did you see the thing where it wasn't the CDC? What was it? There was some bill coming out of Congress that had like new COVID information on it and new laws regarding it. But bills are so massive and they have all these dumb little details in them. And one of the things that was included in one of the latest COVID-related bills was the CIA disclosing UFO information to the public, and like that now there's a countdown of days before they can start telling people, like telling the public about specific UFO incidences. It's probably not a big deal. It's probably stuff like This one that was secret, we can now say was just a balloon, or it might just be retarded stuff like that. But I don't know. If I had to guess, I would guess that there's definitely aliens. And this is gonna sound probably dumb, and I'm kind of like almost don't want to say this, but after hearing Bob Lazar's story, he was this guy that worked at Area 51, and I now think it's more likely that aliens have been on Earth before than that they haven't. Like actual physical beings from a different spot in space. It's just such, and I know it sounds dumb to say it's one dude's story, but the evidence behind like the effort that the government went through to wipe out his whole record of having ever existed and ever worked there, and all the schools he went to and all this weird stuff that they did, and then like the friends and witnesses that were there and him being able to perfectly describe certain things that supposedly you shouldn't have seen. There's like all this weird stuff, and his story has stayed consistent for like 40 years on what happened. And it's just like, dude, I don't know. That seems
But cool. I mean, that's why I kind of have to throw in my hand of saying I also agree that other non-human life forms have interacted with us, but then I just don't think that they're another alien race.
Wait, what's the difference? You don't think they're from another
angels
planet?
Aren't aliens. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think if an angel came down and interacted, or a demon came down and interacted, or not came down, but just like showed themselves, that would be like an alien, right?
I see what you're saying. But you're saying, so you think stuff like that could have interacted, but not a physical
No, I think it could be a physical. No, for sure. I have nothing to saying physical.
No, I'm saying that it originated on another planet, physically in outer space, a planet that came here.
Like,
that's what
I don't believe that there are animals and other created like beings just living on like another planet, just like humans were made for Earth.
Okay, that's what I mean.
That's what I don't necessarily believe. What?
Okay, that's what I mean when I said aliens all those times.
But why do you have any evidence? So you believe
I'm not
in
even
angels
saying,
and demons, correct?
Yeah. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say yes 100%, but I'm pretty sure. Seems like it.
Okay. There's no like reason to believe, I mean, coming from like a biblical standpoint, that
you're right. Coming from a biblical standpoint, if you're taking the Bible literally, there's zero reason that would be absolutely impossible. It seems like it'd be pretty impossible for there to be life forms on other planets. I wouldn't even go that far.
There's a theological argument to be made that other sentient beings don't exist. That you could talk about, like how Jesus came down, we are made in his image. Does that mean they're made in his image? So on and so forth. Like, there's that argument, but I would have a much easier time believing that non-sentient like animals live on other planets. Like, we could go to a planet and there's these huge monsters that have crazy teeth, like in the sci-fi movies and that kind of stuff. But I
like
think
an
is more
intelligent race, you think is very unlikely.
I don't think that would be other human-like creations. I think it would be angels or demons.
Okay, I see what
and
you're
such.
Yeah.
And I think there's a very good chance. I 100% believe that there have been angel interactions with humans. The Bible talks about that. And the Bible talks about some very funky-looking things.
Yeah.
So for people to be describing it's like, no, it's not an angel because it looks crazy like this. It's like, bro, have you read the Bible? There's some insane looking angels described in the Bible of golden rings floating around each other with eyes pierced, like literally eyes on every part of the surface of the rings.
Yeah.
Insane stuff.
Yeah.
Like way crazier than what people even describe with aliens of these tall, lanky dudes with crazy eyes that are glowing.
Yeah.
Like, that's not even nearly as crazy.
I wouldn't be too surprised if angels from a biblical standpoint looked like freaky monster sci-fi deals, and I also wouldn't be surprised if genuine animals from another planet that also were conscious and intelligent like humans also existed. And if both of those have shown themselves, that wouldn't be that surprising to me.
Yeah. So it would be surprising if the latter
existed to you. Yeah.
Existed. Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway, yeah, Omeamea, kind of a cool thing to look up. Dude talks about it on a JRE in the last like 3 or 4 days. I don't. One of the comments under that video on YouTube, it was a clip, and someone commented, "It's more likely that alien life exists than me installing Spotify." because he's saying I refuse to install Spotify just to watch Jay Hardy. So they only watch the clips. Because at the end of every clip that's on YouTube, it's a audio bite from Joe Rogan.
Go
saying,
listen on Spotify.
Go download Spotify. It's free. You can easily transition. Please. You don't have to pay for Spotify. Please. Doesn't say please, but it sounds like it.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. All right. Anyways, I think that's all I got in me.
All right.
Should we go on to what we recommend?
Yeah. What's something you highly recommend?
Just because we talked about it, I will recommend that everyone go and sign up for Robinhood. There will even be a link. You can use our link.
There's going to be a link in the description. Yeah. You won't get a discount, but there will be a link.
Yeah. So you'll actually get a free stock. If you sign up with our code, you'll get a free stock.
You will.
If you sign up with any code, you'll get a free stock.
At least one free stock with any code.
Yep. But then we'll also get a free stock.
Yep. We will give you one free stock. That's something I was going to ask you about. So Robinhood says that they advertise you get a free stock, but can you just say, okay, I want a Tesla stock? It's like worth $800.
No. It gives you a random one in their huge list, and the Tesla, because it says free stock that could be Apple or Tesla, it's probably 1 in a million chance.
Oh, so they bought tons of stocks and then just give them away?
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of what
you'll probably I want you to sign up after we're done recording, like using my link, and you'll get a stock and I'll get a stock, and probably both of them are going to be like $2 or $3.
Oh, really? It's really cheap. Yeah. Okay. So if every listener clicks our link, they will all get one free stock, or only the first one?
Everyone will.
Okay.
Yep. It's like a referral code link, basically.
All right. Before I do my thing to recommend, I forgot this hat I'm wearing. This logo right here is
shout out
our friend Triple A. So if you want, you can check out his YouTube channel. It's TRIPOLEH. So Triple A, all one word. Capital T.
You definitely should check him out. A great guy.
Yep. More subscribers than any of my YouTube channels, that's for sure. So
it's true. Very successful on YouTube. And honestly, I kind of miss him. He kind of just disappeared.
Yeah, he's kind of epic. I play Halo with him like once every month and a half. But yeah, he's a cool dude. His personality, cool. I bought his merch to support him. Trying to be a good friend. And that's what the hat is, just in case you were wondering what this epic, awesome, perfectly designed T logo is. That's what it is. So he also has other funny merch, so you can check out his store too. Something I would recommend, I know Daniel's probably going to cringe at this a little bit, but I would recommend to everyone to check out Dave Ramsey. All right? He's this guy.
I love that recommendation.
Oh, yeah?
It's a great recommendation.
Okay, cool. He's he has a podcast. Maybe you could start with that. Otherwise, he has a book. You should probably start with the book. It's called The Total Money Makeover. He's basically just a dude who formulated this plan that has been proven to work millions of times. Millions is, I'm going to say hundreds of thousands just because I'm not sure that it's millions. I know for a fact it's hundreds of thousands. I'm going to be careful with my speech. And he is... he knows his stuff. It's a giant company now, and it's epic. One funny story, side note, this has actually nothing to do with like promoting Dave Ramsey, but this is just a funny thing that happened. He bought this house that was like $55 million a couple of years ago, and all these news articles came out saying there's no way he followed his own advice. And because his advice when it comes to houses is you can finance your first house, but after that, every property you buy has to be 100% down payment. You cannot finance it. And people said there's no way that he put 100% down on that house. And then he ended up coming out and going, look, I did. I put $55 million
here's
down.
the records.
Yeah, I bought
really
it.
Did.
And everyone was like, yo. And then it was like a year later, he bought a building for his company. They designed and built a new building. And it was like within the same 2 or 3 years that he bought that house. And it was a $70 million building. And he did 100% down on that too. It's like, holy dang, cow. Bro. Anyway,
what a guy. What a guy.
I think the biggest reason I thought of that is because I have a thing on my desk. I'm going to show in just a second. But he has this college course thing that's all about money. That's like every detail, every type of insurance you should get, everything. That's called Financial Peace University. And it's like $120 to buy it online. And I was walking around. I've never been in a thrift store that wasn't for clothes before. And I was in a thrift store that wasn't for clothes. And I found his entire Financial Peace University sitting there. It's $120 new, and it was for $9. And I went, what?
That's
And I
amazing.
opened it and I looked through like there's like a workbook and a notebook and a little envelope system and the CD collection. It's a 9-hour thing and all of this stuff. And everything was in there. And the workbook was used only up to like page 5 out of like 100. And I was like, and it was pencil, so you can erase it. I was like, yo, $9. And the dumb thing is I already own the digital one for $120. So there's no reason for me to have bought it. But I was just like, I can't pass up the opportunity to get something that's $120 for $9. So check out
That's
Dave Ramsey.
amazing.
That's what got me to start making a budget, to start saving. That's what taught me how to invest money. Everything about it is epic. So look at that.
Yep.
And thanks for watching.
Adios, everyone. Have
See you
a
next week.
fantastic rest of your life.
You too.